Hello everyone, welcome back to another video from my channel Biology Simplified. Today we are going to talk about morphology of flowering plant. So basically we are going to see the external structure or the morphology of flowering plant. By flowering plant I mean to say angiosperms. So basically we are going to see the external form and the external structure of angiosperms. Angiosperms are the plants which bear a flower and whose seeds are enclosed within a fruit, or we can say their ovules are enclosed within ovaries. So we are going to talk about angiosperms, their external characters. So firstly, we'll see how the plant parts are divided. Plant parts are divided into two groups. One is the vegetative parts and the other is the reproductive parts. The vegetative parts are the parts which take part in growth and maintenance of plants. Like root, stem, leaves, we can say root, it takes part in absorption of water, stem which provides support of the plant, and leaves which basically perform photosynthesis to provide food. So all these parts are involved in growth and maintenance. The reproductive parts are the parts which are involved in sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is the reproduction which involves fertilization or fusion of gametes. So reproductive parts are involved in sexual reproduction, like flowers, we can say fruits, right? So plant parts are divided mainly into two groups, vegetative parts and reproductive parts. Another category we can see here how the plant axis is divided. Plant axis is divided into two groups. One is the root system and the other is the shoot system. So basically there is a plant axis, single plant axis, and it is divided into two groups, root system and the shoot system. Root system usually develops from radicle, don't bears nodes and internodes. Radicle is the part of the seed from which the root system arises, and it don't bears nodes and internodes. Now what are nodes? Nodes are basically the parts, basically the structures from where leaves and branches arises. So in roots there is no need of leaves and branches, there is no presence of leaves and branches, so also there is no presence of nodes and internodes. In the shoot system we can say they develop from plumule. Now plumule is the part of the seed from which shoot develops. It is the upper part of the seed from which a shoot develops, and it bears nodes and internodes. As I have told earlier, nodes are the structures from where leaf arises. We can see here in this diagram, this is a node from which a leaf has arisen here, and internode is the distance between two nodes. Here we can see the distance between two nodes, that is internode. And most important, the shoot system develops upwards, that is, it is negatively geotropic. Now what do I mean by geotropic? Geotropic means towards gravity. So if a part is negatively geotropic, it means it is against the gravity. So the shoot system is basically against the gravity as it grows upwards. So it is negatively geotropic. And the root system is positively geotropic as it develops. Usually it develops underground. Here we can see in the root system, this is the root. This is known as the main root or the primary root. From this particular root, secondary roots arise. These are lateral roots. Here you can see this is the secondary root, and from the secondary root further roots extend, which are known as tertiary roots, and tertiary root may also bear rootlets. Rootlets are further extension of tertiary roots. They are basically the root hairs, we can say. So this is how the plant axis is divided. We can also see here parts of flowering plants, how this particular plant axis is divided into shoot system and root system. Here we can see the root system develops downwards and the shoot system develops upwards. Here we can see shoot system consists of leaves, stem, fruits, flowers, all these things, and it bears nodes and internodes. Here you can see the presence of node from which leaf has arisen, and the distance between two particular nodes, that is internode. And we can also see the root system here. There is presence of primary root, which is the main root, and from where lateral roots has arisen, which are secondary roots, and secondary roots may extend to tertiary roots and rootlets. So this was all about how the plant parts are divided. So next we are going to talk about roots. This is the first structure we are going to see in detail. We'll also see other structures like leaves, stem, flowers, fruits in upcoming videos. Today we are going to see roots in detail. So we'll basically see the type of roots, the regions of roots, how the root's external structure is divided, and what is its external structure basically. Then we'll see the modifications of roots. Let's start with the type of roots. So roots, they have two types. One is taproot and the other is the adventitious root. So we are going to see taproot in detail. Taproot emerges from the radicle. Like I have already told you that a seed, it has two parts, plumule and radicle. From plumule the shoot arises, and from radicle roots arises. But it is not always true. Sometimes only one kind of root arises from radicle, that is taproot. So the root which arises from radicle is called a taproot. It consists of one main root which gives rise to secondary, tertiary roots and rootlets. As I have already told you, there is one main root. As you can see in this diagram, there is one main root. This is the main root, and this main root gives rise to secondary roots, which are extension of the main root. These are basically the lateral roots, and these lateral secondary roots further give rise to tertiary roots, and the tertiary roots may bear rootlets. Next point is primary root sustains throughout the life. It is very important. The primary root or the main root, as we have discussed, it sustains throughout the life. The secondary or tertiary roots may die, but the primary root sustains throughout the life of the plant. And the main root is thicker than other lateral roots. Here we can see in this diagram, we can clearly see the main root is thicker than the secondary, tertiary roots. Next point is, it is generally underground. So the tap roots are generally underground. They grow below the ground. Next, we'll talk about the adventitious roots. These are the roots which emerges from parts other than radicle. Now this point is very, very important. These roots emerges from parts other than radicle. Except radicle, they can emerge from anywhere, like from stem, from plumule, from leaves, anywhere else other than radicle. So this distinguishes adventitious roots from tap roots, as they do not arise from radicle. It is a group of similar sized which are of same thickness, hair-like structures. Here we can see in this diagram of fibrous root or adventitious root. All the roots are of same thickness and they are hairy structures. They have the same thickness, they have the same size. Primary root is short-lived. Actually, what happens in these? The primary root arises from radicle but it dies, and the adventitious root arises from parts other than radicle. So the primary root is short-lived, it do not lives. All the adventitious roots are generally fibrous. They are fiber-like structure, hairy structure, so they are generally fibrous. So they are also known as fibrous roots. Can be found underground as well as above the ground. So this is important. They can be found underground as well as above the ground. So this distinguishes it from taproots, as taproot is generally found underground, but adventitious root can be found above the ground also. So these were the points of two types of roots that we have seen. These two type of roots are very different from each other. We can see all the points are opposite to each other. All their structures are very different from each other. Here we can see the diagram clearly how they are different from each other. The taproot has a single main root, that is the primary root, and from this primary root the lateral root arise. But in fibrous or adventitious root there is no primary root, there is just a bunch of fibrous roots of same thickness. Next we'll talk about the regions of root. Firstly, we can see in this diagram the main regions of roots. There are basically four regions. First is the root cap. Here you can see this is the root cap. Second is the region of meristematic activity. This is the region of meristematic activity. Then there is region of elongation, and further above that is the region of maturation. So we'll see all these regions one by one. What are their functions and what type of cells are present in these regions. So let's start with the root cap. Root cap covers the root at the apical part. Apical part, that is apex, or at the tip region of the root. It secretes mucilage which acts as a lubricant. Now why do it needs to secrete mucilage? Because root has to go deep within the soil. For the root's easy passage, there is a need to secrete mucilage. So this is the work of root cap. Root cap secretes mucilage. It also protects the root from the tip region as it covers it. It can regrow when damaged. As root cap goes deep into the soil, so it can get damaged as it goes very deep. So it can grow back whenever it gets damaged. Pandanus has multiple root caps. Pandanus is a plant having more than one root cap. It has multiple root caps. Aquatic plants have root pockets instead of root caps. Now this is very important. There is no need of root caps in aquatic plants as they are living in water. So there is no need to go deep within the soil for the water absorption. As they are already in water, they can easily absorb water. So there is no need of root caps also. There is no need to go deep into the soil. So instead of root caps, they have root pockets. These root pockets help in maintaining the buoyancy of the plant. So this is very important. It helps to maintain the buoyancy so that plant can float in water. Next is the meristematic zone. As it is clear from the name itself, meristematic zone, it consists of meristematic cells, that is the dividing cells. So it is basically the region of cell division. Dividing cells are present in this region. Cells of this region are thin-walled, small with dense protoplasm. Because they are dividing cells, they are thin-walled, they are small, and they have dense protoplasm. So if we need to see the dividing cells under microscope, we will cut the section of root from the meristematic zone or this particular meristematic region. So this is basically the region of division, the meristematic zone. Next is region of elongation. Now here the division stops and the cells start to enlarge. Enlargement of cells take place here. Basically growth of cells occur here. In the meristematic zone there is cell division, and in region of elongation there is cell growth or the enlargement of cells. This leads to increase in length. So because there is enlargement of cells, so the size of, or we can say the length of, basically the length of roots increases. Next is the region of maturation. Basically this is the region where cells differentiated into various specialized tissues. Now here cell division completely stops, abruptly stops here, and here cells differentiate into specialized types. Here cells change themselves. They can be distinguished as they differentiate into various tissues, and they become permanent tissues thereafter. As we can see, the epidermal cells they form very fine thread-like structures called root hairs. Epidermal cells get differentiated into root hairs, thread-like structures. These root hairs have a very large surface area, so they help in absorbing water and minerals from the soil because of the large surface area. Some of the cells behind the region of root hairs form the permanent region or the zone of differentiated cells, which is without hairs and it bears lateral roots. The region behind the region of root hairs, cells present there get differentiated into permanent tissues. The cells of this region undergo differentiation to form different tissues like xylem, phloem, cortex, etc. So this region do not bear hairs, and the cells of this region get differentiated into different tissues like xylem, phloem, cortex, and they bear the lateral roots, that is the secondary and the tertiary roots. So this is the region of maturation. The cells get differentiated into different tissues here. So these are all the regions of the root. As we have seen, first is the root cap. Basically it secretes mucilage for the easy passage of root, and in aquatic plants there is presence of root pockets instead of root cap. Then above the root cap there is region of meristematic activity. Here cell division takes place. Basically here dividing cells are present, and here extensive cell division takes place. And above this region is the region of elongation. Here the cells get enlarged. Growth of cells occurs in this region, and above this region is the region of maturation. Here you can see the presence of root hair. The epidermal cells of this region get converted into root hair, and behind this region, above this region, is also the presence of certain cells which get differentiated into permanent tissues like xylem, phloem, and all those tissues. So these were the regions of the root. Next we'll start with the modifications of roots. In this we'll see how the roots are modified, or how the roots have specialized or changed themselves for certain purposes. We know the main function of roots is absorption of water and minerals, but sometimes in some cases roots have changed themselves for some other purposes. So we are going to basically see those modifications and those changes in the roots which serves those particular purposes. So let's start with the modification of tap roots. So we are talking about tap roots, the roots basically which arise from radicle. First we'll see how the tap roots have modified themselves for storage of food. In these cases, roots become swollen to store food. Basically, roots become enlarged, they increase in size, they swell, and they store food. In this, first is the conical form. Here we can see the example is carrot, Daucus carota. Here you can see the structure of carrot. It is a cone-like structure. So the root of basically this plant get modified to store food. It has changed into a conical form. Here you can see the conical form of carrot. Next form is the fusiform. In this case, the root changes its shapes to fusiform. Fusiform shape is basically in which the anterior and the posterior regions are pointed and the central region is thick. Here you can see the front region and the back region is pointed and the central region is somewhat thick. Example we can see here: reddish, raffinus, sativus. Next is the napiform. This is the modification in which the front surface is broad and the tip surface is tapering. Here we can see example is turnip. Here we can see its structure. Basically it is broad from this region and it becomes tapering at the tip region. So it becomes tapering at the tip region. So this form is known as napiform. Example is brassica, rapa, or turnip. Next form is tuberous form. This form is very irregular. It is fallen at different places. So it is a irregular swelling. Example is Mirabilis chilapa, which we also call the 4 o'clock plant. Here we can see its diagram, its structure. We can see it is irregularly swollen. So these were all the modifications of taproot for food storage. So we have seen the conical modification, the fusiform modification, in which the front and the back region is pointed and central region is thick, the napiform modification, in which the front region is broad and it is tapering at the end, and the tuberous modification, in which basically irregular swellings are present. Now let's move to the taproots which are modified for nitrogen fixation. So these roots are changed for particularly the purpose of nitrogen fixation, fixing the nitrogen. Here we can see the nodulated roots. What are the nodulated roots? Basically nodules are present in these roots. Nodules are swellings. These type of roots are present in leguminous plants, having irregular swellings on primary roots and its branches. We can see here the primary root and its branches, means the primary root and the lateral branches, that is the secondary and tertiary roots, bears irregular swellings. These swellings are called nodules, and nitrogen fixing bacteria live in them. So these swellings, you can see here, these are called nodules, and in these nitrogen fixing bacteria live. So next are the respiratory roots. These roots are also known as pneumatophores. Plants having these type of roots are found in marshy areas. Now what is marshy area? It is basically the area where soil content is so high. So the roots of these areas cannot breathe in such soil content. So roots in these plants come out of soil and they are negatively geotropic. Because the roots cannot breathe in so much soily region, so they become negatively geotropic. They come out of the soil. These roots have many pores on their surface for gaseous exchange. So they have pores so that they can deal with this environmental conditions. Example, mangrove plants like Rhizophora solanaceae. So these are found in mangrove areas, which are marshy areas. Soil content is high in these areas. Here you can see in these diagrams, the roots are growing upwards. They are negatively geotropic and they have pores for the gaseous exchange. So these are the respiratory roots. They have adapted themselves for these environmental conditions. Next are the reproductive roots. Basically in this, taproots are modified for reproduction, particularly vegetative reproduction. Small plants arise from roots. Vegetative propagation takes place. Example is Dalbergia sisu shisham. Here we can see in this diagram, this is the root and new plants have arisen from the root. So vegetative propagation is taking place here. So these were all the modifications of taproots. Firstly, we have seen the taproots modified for food storage. In this we have seen conical, fusiform, napiform and tuberous modifications. Next we have seen the roots modified for nitrogen fixation. Leguminous plants basically, these have roots modified for nitrogen fixation. Next we have seen the respiratory roots or the pneumatophores, and the fourth one is the reproductive roots. So these were all the modifications of taproots. Next we'll see the modifications of adventitious roots. The roots which arise from parts other than radicle. These are basically the fibrous roots. And these roots, sometimes they get modified to perform for various functions, so we are going to see them. So the adventitious roots which are modified to store food. Firstly, we'll see these. Number one is the tuberous roots. Tuberous roots, these are again irregular shaped roots. Example is Ipomia batatas, that is sweet potato. So the sweet potato is the modification of adventitious root for the storage of food. Here you can see in this diagram, the sweet potato has an irregular shape for the food storage. It has swollen at irregular places to store food. Next in the food storage is the fasciculated roots. Swollen roots that occur either at the base of stem, dahlia, or may occur at intervals on normal roots, asparagus. In this case, the roots are swollen either at the base of stem. This is in the case of dahlia, and or they may occur at the normal roots. Example is asparagus. So we can see here in the case of dahlia, at the base of stem the roots have got swollen to store food. Next is the nodulose root. Swelling occur only at the tip of roots. Here you can see in this picture, there is only swelling at the tip region of root. These kind of roots are known as nodulose roots. Example is turmeric, curcuma. So basically these are swollen from the tip region. These are known as nodulose roots. So we have seen the roots, adventitious roots, which are modified for storing food. In this we have seen the tuberous root. Next we have seen the fasciculated roots, and the third we have seen nodulose root. Next is roots which are modified for mechanical support. In this case, roots have changed themselves to provide support to the plant. So this is very important. Adventitious roots basically change themselves to support the plant. And this number one is the prop roots. Arise from large horizontal branches, they grow downwards and form a pillar-like structures to support the heavy stem branches. Here you can see in this picture, these roots are growing downwards from the branches. So these roots have grown from the branches. These roots basically perform the function of supporting the plant. Young prop roots can absorb water from air. So in this case, the roots absorb water from the air itself. Example is Ficus bengalensis, that is the banyan tree. Next are the stilt roots. These supporting roots grow obliquely from the basal nodes of stem. Here we can see in this picture the nodes which are basically present at the end of the stem or at the base of the stem. These nodes basically give rise to stilt roots. These are the stilt roots. They have arisen from the basal nodes of the stem. Basically they are also for the support of the plant. Example is sugarcane, maize, and sorghum. Next are the climbing roots or the clinging roots. In this case, plants with weak stems. Certain roots arise from nodes or internodes. In the plants which have weak stem, roots arise from nodes or internodes, and they start climbing to a particular surface or a particular boundary to basically support the weak stem. Example is ivy and betel. Here you can see in this diagram, they are climbing to a particular surface. Here you can see the climbing root of the betel vine. It has climbed to a surface to provide support to the plant. The fourth one is the buttress roots. They spread at the base of the stem to provide support. So here you can see in the picture, the roots have basically arisen at the base of stem, and they are forming a kind of structure on the floor itself. They do not grow downwards because they are modified to support the plant. So basically this spread all over the floor. Example is bombex. So these were all the modifications of adventitious roots for mechanical support. We have seen the first one, prop roots, in which they form a pillar-like structure and grows downwards from the branches. Second, we have seen the stilt roots, which arise from the lower nodes of the stem. Third are the climbing roots. and the fourth one are the buttress roots. Next, we'll talk about the adventitious roots modified for vital functions. Now, what do we mean by these vital functions? Basically, some of the adventitious roots get modified to perform certain functions which are otherwise performed by other structures. So let's start with this. Number one is the epiphytic roots. These are found in epiphytes. Now, what are the epiphytes? Epiphytes are the plants which grow on another plant. Basically, epiphytes grow on another plant. So these epiphytic roots are present in epiphytes, the plants which grow on other large plants. Thick, irregular, hang in the air and are devoid of root caps and root hairs. So these roots, epiphytic roots, are thick and they hang in the air, and they do not have root caps and root hairs. Instead, they have a covering of dead spongy tissue known as velamen, which helps in absorption of water from the atmosphere. So they have velamen. Velamen is a dead spongy tissue which helps in absorbing moisture from the air itself. Example is venda. Here you can see in this picture, these are the clinging roots of venda, and they have basically velamen which helps in absorbing moisture from the air. Next are the assimilatory or photosynthetic roots. Green roots capable of performing photosynthesis. Roots have become modified to perform photosynthesis. So this is a very special form of root. Leaves perform photosynthesis otherwise, but in this case, roots have modified themselves to perform photosynthesis. Example is Tinospora trepa. Next are the hostorial roots, which are also known as parasitic roots or sucking roots. These roots penetrate to host tissue to absorb water and minerals in case of viscum, or food materials in case of cuscuta. So these are basically parasitic roots. These roots grow on host tissue. These roots provide nutrition to the plant from other plants. In case of viscum, these roots absorb water and minerals from other plants, and in case of cuscuta, these roots provide food materials from other plants. Here you can see in this diagram, there is a presence of hostoria. These are sucking roots which penetrate into the host tissue, that is the other plant from which nutrition is taken. This is the host. Next are the reproductive roots. Fleshy adventitious roots may develop adventitious buds. Buds grow to form new plants. So basically in this case, adventitious roots form certain buds which grow to form new plants. Basically vegetative propagation is taking place here. Example is Ipomia batatas, sweet potato. Here you can see in this diagram, there is presence of adventitious buds from which new plants have arisen. Buds are basically small structures, small spots from which new plants arise. These are adventitious buds because they are growing from adventitious roots. This is a modification of adventitious roots. So these were the modifications of adventitious roots. So firstly, we have seen the roots which are modified for food storage. In this case, we have seen the tuberous roots, fasciculated roots, nodulose roots. Then we have seen the modifications for mechanical support. In this, we have seen the prop roots or the pillar-like roots which hang from the branches. Then we have seen the stilt roots. Next, we have seen the climbing roots, and then buttress roots. Next, we have seen the roots which are modified to perform certain vital functions. In this, we have seen epiphytic roots, photosynthetic roots, and parasitic roots. And the last, we have seen the reproductive roots. In this case, basically adventitious buds arise. So these were the modifications of adventitious roots. So this whole topic of roots is covered under the topic morphology of flowering plants. So that's all for today's video. I hope you liked it. If you found this video helpful, please do like it and please do subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching.